Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Please let me know when you're on. I would love to say hello to you. We'll give you guys just a few minutes to jump on. I hope you guys are having a great week. I pray that everybody's staying well, or if you have been sick, that you're getting well. We are so motivated to take care of ourselves. I'm really going to be pushing that this year. I want to really make us understand how important and how valuable we are. And the only way we can help other people is to make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves. So I'm really going to be pushing that this year. Self-care is not selfish. It's the best thing that you can do for your family. It helps with your mind, your body, and your spirit. And it just helps to make you a better person. You guys, this week has been just full of emotion for me. There's been a lot going on. We've got some family stuff going on, but mostly, seems like this week, a lot of my favorite patients or my sweetest patients, they've lost a loved one, somebody close to them. And it's been really emotional for me because when someone hurts, I hurt. And it's been really hard for me to maintain my professional composure. When they break down, it makes me break down. And so, I just ask you guys, hey, Christia, to pray for all of my patients that have lost a loved one here recently. And those that have lost a loved one, Christia, she lost her grandmother. Constant prayers for you, simply because I know how close you were to your grandmother. So, you guys, let's just pray for one another because everybody's going through something. And if you're not going through something, you know somebody else who is. So you stay prayerful. That way you can be strong so that you can be a shoulder for somebody else. And then last week, you guys, we talked about how it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. A lot of times life will beat you up just because you did something wrong, or you had a major setback, or you come from the wrong side of the tracks. That does not have to be the end of your story, as we said last week. It's all up to you how your story is written. It's all up to you how you finish. And I was speaking with a elderly patient today, and she shared with me she had beat her cervical cancer, many years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago. And now she informed me that her cancer is back. And or she thinks it's back. She's waiting on a report to let her know for sure. And we were talking, and she kept saying, you know what, I'm good. She says, you know what, I'm God's child, and whatever he wants to do with me, it's up to him to do it. I'm good. I'm not worried about it. I'm not upset about it. To God be the glory. And I just really admired just the way she trusted God. And it's hard to trust God like that because we're human. But she was up in age, and I would imagine she's experienced quite a few things with God, and has seen God work some miracles in her life through her and through some of her friends. So I'm sure she's had that relationship with God to where, she believes God and she trusts God, and she believes, that we belong to him, and somehow he's going to get the glory out of all of it. So, keep her in prayer as well. And we talked also about, it's not about, titles. It's not about trying to impress other people, you guys. It's about quality of life. That's the only thing that really matters. What did you do while you were here? Hi, Tasha. What did you do while you were here? That's what's going to matter. It's not about money, it's not about status, all of that. Make an impact while you're here. Touch somebody else's life while you're here. That's what's going to matter. It's quality of life. It's not how long you live, it's about what you do in the time that you have. So you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time, because I don't like to hold y'all very long, because I know y'all have other things to do. But our topic today is just simply, now what? You think about, when you go through something, once you're in it, you think it's the worst thing in the world that could happen. But you finally do have to sit down and figure out, okay, now that it's happened, now what do I do? And that's what we want to talk about. And it just means that you have to take the time to understand that we're all going to go through losses. We're all going to have pain. There's always going to be some unforeseen circumstance in your life. There's not going to be a time where you never have anything to worry about. Some things are just going to happen in life. It is just life. There's no book. There's no map to do this thing. You just have to take it one step at a time. And a lot of times, people give up right before their breakthrough. Sometimes it's hardest right before things are going to get better. So I want to encourage you guys to just sit down sometimes, and once you've calmed down, once something has happened, try to figure out now that it's happened, what do I do now? And that's the time where your thinking is going to be so important, because what you decide to do, that next step, could either make you or break you. So you want to get to a point where you get your emotions intact. Cry your tears, be mad for a little bit if you need to. But at some point you need to sit down and figure out, okay, now that it's happened, what am I going to do? And that's what we want to talk about. Things are going to happen in your life. You're going to have conflicts at work. You're going to have conflicts with other people. You're going to have disagreements with your spouse, your significant other. You're going to have disagreements with your children, disagreements with your family. Sometimes you're going to end up going through a divorce. A lot of us have gone through a divorce, and your life cannot end simply because that relationship did not work. You have to make up your mind that the next move is going to be your best move. And that's the attitude I want y'all to have. Yes, it happened. Yes, it was bad. But let me calm myself down. Let me get my head together so that my next move will be my best move. I don't want to keep tripping over the same things over and over again. And when you are led by your emotions, you're bound to trip up. So you have to get your emotions in check after you've gone through something, because that's the only way you're going to be able to think clearly and allow God to speak to you. Because while you're emotional, everything's going through your mind. You can't focus. You can't concentrate. You don't know whether you're coming or going. People can influence your decisions. When you're emotional, there's always somebody ready to jump on the bandwagon with you when you're mad. But that's not always the kind of person that you need with you. You need that person that's going to help calm you down and say, okay, sis, I understand that happened. You have a right to be mad. You have every right to be mad. But think about the next thing that you're going to do. Because it's not only going to affect you, it's going to affect your family. It's going to affect, the people around you. So nothing you do just only affects you. So that's why you need somebody around you that can allow you to have your emotions, but help settle you to the point where you can calm down, get your emotions in check, so that you can make that next move your best move. We're going to have losses of friendships, you guys, and we've got to learn how to let people go without holding grudges. That wasn't always easy for me, because I always wanted to know why did they get mad at me? Why did they leave me? Why are they not my friend anymore? We have to understand that people have to grow. People have to move on. And sometimes they outgrow you, and sometimes you outgrow them. Either way, it's okay. That's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's not supposed to be in your life for the rest of your life. And we've got to learn how to let people go so that God can deal with them, so that God can get them to the level they need to be at, and God can get you to where you need to be. There's going to be betrayals in your life, people that you trust with your innermost secrets. Sometimes those people are going to betray you. Sometimes those are the people that are going to talk behind your back. We have to learn how to get past that and figure out it happened. Now what do we do? And then there's going to be unexpected life changes. Guys, we're all going through different seasons. As you get older, things are going to change. And you can't fall down and have a pity party because you can't do some of the things that you used to do. You have to operate in the season where you're at right now. And so you have to learn how to move forward and enjoy where you are right now. And then there's some people that will experience the loss of a job, a loss of a home, just basic loss of income. And you really have to be strategic when those things happen, because a lot of times people don't have money saved up. People don't have a plan B. And so you have to be strategic when those things happen so that you can take care of yourself, so you can take care of your family. So you've always got to be thinking 2 steps ahead. That's why I said once before, you guys, you always have to make sure you've got some money in savings, because we never know what's going to happen. You never know. And that way you're not blown away when something happens in your life. And then health issues, you guys. Sometimes health issues happen whether you do everything you can. Some things are just going to be hereditary. Just as you get older, those things are going to trickle on down the line. All you can do is do the best that you can do. And when that situation comes up, when you get that diagnosis, now what? What are you going to do? You have to make up your mind, okay, this is what it is, call it what it is, and how am I going to deal with it? And you have to decide for yourself the best action of dealing with that. That means talking to your doctor. That means getting on a healthier diet. That means incorporating exercise in your life. That means reducing your stress. That means getting people out of your life that constantly weigh you down and keep you tired and zap you of all your energy. You've got to make up your mind. Once you've gotten that diagnosis, what am I going to do next? Yes, a lot of things are devastating when you hear it, but that's your time to get your education, get online, call people, talk to your doctor, go to support groups. All of those things are available. That's your now what? That's what you do when something like that happens, when you get a bad diagnosis or get something unexpected that happens with your health. You're going to have to be active. You can do all you can to be proactive and try to prevent things, but some things in life that are hereditary, eventually sometimes they do catch up with you, and all you can do is deal with it when you get there. And then let's talk about conflicts at your job or in relationships. We have options of how we want to deal with it or how we can deal with it. You have to learn to have an open mind. And you want to see the whole picture. When you have a conflict with somebody, try not to be all caught up in yourself. It can't all be about you. And remember, it's more to it than what you're mad about. Most of the time, that conflict didn't just start in the second that y'all started having words back and forth. Normally, that thing has been leading up. It's been building up. Look at the whole picture so you can see how it started, so you can figure out how to take care of it. And then if the situation continues or if the argument can't be resolved, you need to learn to pray about it. Pray about it. Sometimes you have to walk away from a situation and say, you know what? You need to calm down. I need to calm down. We'll come back together when we both have a level head. And when it comes to your job, when things like that happen and it's somebody you can't get along with that you have to work with, you may have to go to HR and have a conversation, in order for you to have a positive work environment. And then we must learn to respect each other's differences, even when you're not getting along, even when you may have some conflict or may have had an argument. Respect each other's differences. Don't start calling people out of their name. Don't start talking about people's race. Don't start, just belittling somebody. You need to learn how to respect each other's differences, because you know what? We're all grown up. All that name calling stuff and cursing out stuff, that's for children. But for grown-ups, we need to be respectful, because when you're respectful, you're heard. People hear you when you're respectful. They hear you, when you're not stooping down to a low level. Keep yourself in a professional manner. Keep yourself at a level of respect even when you're having a disagreement with your spouse. Because those things that you say, you're going to have to live with those things that come out of your mouth. And you can't take those things back. And sometimes an apology just don't get it. So you need to be respectful even when you're having a disagreement with someone, because that is so important. Because later on, you may need to talk to that person. And if you've lost their respect, you've also lost their ability to hear what you're saying. Okay? And then you want to catch a conflict early. You don't want to let things just get out of hand before you decide to deal with something. Learn to be the bigger person and say, hey, look, I can sense there's some animosity between me and you. Same thing with spouses. When you're walking through the house and nobody's speaking, or you can feel the tension in the air, somebody needs to be the bigger person and say, hey babe, come here. I want to sit down. I want to talk to you. I'm feeling something, between me and you. I know I asked you if everything was okay and you said it was okay, but that's not what I'm feeling in my spirit. And I want to tell you what's bothering me. Sometimes you have to be the first one to admit that something is bothering you, and that makes that other person open up. And the same thing with the children. You have to be the bigger person and recognize, your spirit will tell you when there's something wrong in your house. You just have to be the person that's willing to catch the conflict early. Because if you catch those things early, a lot of times you can resolve them a whole lot quicker than if you allow everything to get out of hand and everybody's feelings are hurt and people are saying and doing things that they're going to regret later on. And then do not assume. When you're having a conflict with somebody, don't assume. Ask them. If there's anything you want to know, anything you think that they said, anything somebody told you they said, ask that person. Go to the source. Because sometimes people are just messy. Some people add to. They don't tell you exactly what happened. They add to just to get an emotional rise out of you. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. If you got a conflict with somebody, you go to the source and you ask them what they said, what their, comment was. Don't always rely on other people to bring you things. And then another thing, if you're in a conflict, learn to listen carefully and watch body language. You can learn a lot from somebody's body language. Sometimes their lips are saying one thing and their body language is saying something else. Sometimes they're yelling at you and tears are falling down their eyes. That person is hurt. Something is hurting them. You need to watch their body language and then ask God to show you how to come back and talk to them when things have calmed down. And then make it a point that you don't leave a problem a problem. Don't get comfortable allowing things to be left the way they are if they're left wrong. Because you know what? You leave it wrong and then all of a sudden you may need to talk to that person. All of a sudden you may need something from that person. But because of how you left things, you just closed the door. God might be using that person to bless you later on. But you've closed the door because of how you left things. Because your attitude was so bad. I'm not apologizing. I'm this. Your pride was all the way up here. And so you may be closing a door that God may be using to bless you later on. So be careful. You be part of the solution, not the problem. And then give it time. Time really does heal a lot of things, you guys. Sometimes two people are so heated or two people have said some things they shouldn't have said. Sometimes you just have to give it time. Give it time and give it over to God. Okay? And anything that's real in your life, any relationship that's real in your life, you guys, it won't end over an argument. It won't. If somebody's truly your friend, and y'all have gotten into it, sometimes you need to give it a little time. Because if they're truly your friend, if you truly meant something to them, in time, y'all will be able to come back together. So sometimes you just need a little bit of time away from one another kind of to reflect on things. Okay? So when we experience losses or pain or an unforeseen circumstance, we have choices as to what we do next. And that can be, anything from something small. Things happen, small things happen, and big things happen. Small things would be like, you're on your way to work and you spill your coffee in your lap, or you get a flat tire, or, somebody said something a little bit off key to you when you walk into work, or losing your car keys. Those are small things. But then there could be bigger things, like getting into an accident or accidentally throwing away something that was really valuable or meaningful to you and you can't find it, breaking up with somebody in a relationship, losing a job, or a death of a loved one. Whenever something bad happens to us, it's very easy to slip into what's called negative coping behavior. And that's what we don't want. We don't want our now what to be something negative, and we learn to cope by being negative. And the first thing that happens in the negative coping behavior is self-victimization, where you start asking yourself, why did this happen to me? I don't bother anybody. It seems like bad stuff always happens to me. Why doesn't it happen to anybody else? It's not fair. Those type of things. And then we end up playing on other people's emotions, wanting them to feel sorry for us. We're making ourselves the victim. And that's what you don't want to do. It's up to you if you are the victim in a situation or you decide that you're going to get some victory out of it. That's totally up to you. And another negative coping behavior is reacting in anger. Sometimes you need to stand back and just woo-saw a minute before you react to something. That text message that you got that you didn't like or you misinterpreted. Have you ever misinterpreted a text message and just went off on somebody and then they let you know they made a mistake and sent it wrong, but you done already reacted in anger? You can't take that stuff back. Sometimes it's not worth reacting over. We have to put our anger in check, you guys. Everything is not worth all of that negative energy that you put off into it. We need to learn to look at a situation for what it is. And if you're not sure about something, get a clear understanding before you get yourself all worked up and all upset over something. So don't be so quick to react in anger. Because some things you just need to say, you know what, Lord? I'm just not even going to respond to this, and just wait it out. Because time tells you everything you need to know. Sometimes it's not worth reacting, because when you don't respond, you're letting them know you're better than that. I don't have time for that. This is not even on my level. You have to let people know that. Don't be so quick to react in anger to every little thing that happens to you. Because that's the thing that people remember is how you react. That's how you build a reputation, by how you react to things. They don't care about what happened to you. It's mostly about how they reacted. What happened to you afterwards is what most people remember. And then 3, another negative coping behavior is self-blame. A lot of times we get so down on ourselves when something happens, when we make a mistake or we feel like, we should have known better. We start using those things like, how can I be so stupid? I wish I wasn't so gullible. I wish I wasn't so nice. People always take advantage of me. You know what? God made you the way that you are. If you have a kind heart, you have a compassionate heart, sometimes you will get run over. Sometimes that user will find you. But don't hate yourself because of your spirit, because you're a loving person, you're a giving person. Don't hate yourself. Don't blame yourself for that. That's that other person's fault for taking advantage of you. It's not always about you making the mistake. Somebody just saw your vulnerability and they took advantage of it. That is not on you. That is not on you. And you go to God and you pray about that. God will repay. God will take care of that. But don't change who you are simply because of a bad experience. Don't try to change your personality to be somebody that's hard and uncaring because people have hurt you. You know, people, like I said last week, people are going to do people stuff, you know, and you're going to get hurt sometimes, but don't let it change what God put inside of you. If you're a loving person, you know, take a break, you know, lick your wounds, you know, take time to heal, but come back that same loving person you were before, because God put that in you for a reason. He needs you to have that spirit. And just because people don't appreciate it does not mean that there's something wrong with you. That just means that they're not the kind of people you need to be around. And they're not the kind of people you need to be sharing your love with. Okay? And then another type of negative coping mechanism is slipping into depression. You know, some people, you know, it's easier for them to slip into depression once you've been depressed before. You know, and so you have to be careful about that pitfall, because depression always wants you back. You know, it always has a reason for you to feel bad about yourself. And you have to understand that that is a spirit of depression, and it always wants you back. If it's ever gotten you, and if it's gotten you super depressed before or really had a hold on you, it wants you back. So every little thing that happens is going to be intensified. You know, that spirit of depression is going to make it seem like it's worse than it is. It's going to make it seem like there's no way you're going to get out of this. This is the worst thing that could have happened in your life. You know, it's going to make you believe that. But you have to understand that depression is a spirit and recognize it for what it is, and that it is not of God. And I understand we all get down sometimes. Like I said, when I first started, I have not run into so many people that I love or people that I really like that have lost family members here lately, or best friends, or significant others. You know, it's just all this week, you know, I've had patients come in, had one today, and I tried to keep my composure, and she told me her mother died. And she came in smiling, and then once we got in the room, you know, she was like, Karen, she's like, you know, I just feel overwhelmed. And I was not ready for the words that were coming out of her mouth next. And she was just like, yeah, she says, I'm not sleeping good, this, that, and the other. And yeah, my mother died 2 days ago. And I was just like, whoa, you know, it just took me back. And I just almost couldn't even concentrate. And I was just like, bless your heart. You know, so I've been hearing so much of that, just seems like this week. So I know the spirit of depression is high. But I encourage you guys, when you start feeling those things, when you start feeling yourself slipping into, I don't want to do anything, all I want to do is sleep all the time, I don't want to eat anything, I can't concentrate on anything, nobody loves me, I'm a failure, all those thoughts start coming in your head, I need you to call somebody. I need you to get with somebody. Somebody that can encourage you, somebody that can be there for you, somebody that can even just sit with you. Sometimes you just need another person's company besides your own. It's hard fighting depression when you're by yourself. Get around people that love you. Get around people that see the good in you. Get around people that can help you remember how good God is. You know, because a lot of times it's just a matter of what you're feeling right now just seems so overwhelming. Sometimes you can't even remember everything that God has already done for you. So sometimes you need those friends to come around you and just remind you, or just share some of the things they've gone through with you and let you know that you're going to be okay. So be careful about that spirit of depression and try your best Try your best to get around somebody that can help you with that, okay? And talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid to speak to somebody when you start feeling that, when you don't want to do anything with your kids. Just everything just seems so heavy on you. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. You don't even have to go in an office now, you guys. You can do that over video chat on the phone. So there's always a resource for you. Okay? And if we don't learn how to manage our emotions, it's easy to fall into depression. And then number 5, another negative coping mechanism, it's just giving up, simply giving up. You know, when you lose hope, or worse, or still, we just give up. We just say, you know what, I don't even care anymore. I'm not even going to try anymore. That's the wrong thing to do. You know, don't stop trying altogether just because something didn't work, just because somebody let you down, just because the marriage ended in divorce, just because, you know, that friend betrayed you. Don't give up on life. Don't give up on good people out there. There's always good people out there. Don't allow the actions of a few to cause you to think that it's worth giving up. It's never worth giving up. We have a hope. God is our hope, and He has a future for us. So don't give up hope, you guys. So let's talk about positive ways to handle our now what. When something happens, you know, no matter what it is, we got to find a positive way of dealing with it. You know, it happens, so now what do we do? Number 1, get busy. Get busy. Get busy doing something for yourself. Get busy doing something for your family. Get busy doing something for somebody else. Because I can honestly say, when your mind is idle, those thoughts start coming in your head that don't make sense. Those fears, those anxieties will talk to you all day long. You've got to get busy. You know, they used to say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. He loves it when you're not busy. He loves it when he's got all that room to consume you. That's why God says keep your mind stayed on Jesus. Keep your mind on those things that are good, those things that are lovely, those things that are of good report. You got to think on these things, because the enemy is always looking for some room in your head, because that's the battleground. He wants some room in your head so he can start talking to you, so he can take over your thoughts, okay? And number 2, look at whatever's happened and say to yourself, you know what? This is a fresh start. It's a new chapter. And consider it a new chapter. Count your losses. Okay, that happened. All right, I'm going to get up. You know what? Like I said before, I'm going to make my next move my best move. So you have to look at your life as the next chapter, as a new chapter, something new that has never happened before. If that didn't work, let's do something else. And then number 3, learn how to go to sleep and get your rest. You know, dwelling on something, what's happened is happened. What they say, don't cry over spilled milk. What's done is done, you guys. You can't change it by staying awake and wearing yourself down, walking the floor all night, trying to drink energy drinks, trying to get your energy back just to get through the day. That's all going to wear you down over time. You have got to get your adequate rest, because when you sleep good, it affects your thinking, and it affects your attitude. It affects your emotions. So learn to get your sleep. What's done is done, and get your sleep so that you can think better and that you can make better decisions. Number 4, keep your eyes on God. Find something beautiful to focus on. And just remind yourself that you're not alone. You know, a lot of times we spend so much time on computers, in our houses, watching TV, this, that, and the other. Sometimes you just need to get out, and you need to look out into nature and just see everything that God has made. You know, sometimes just get out there and sit by a body of water, or sit at the park, you know, and just focus on all the beauty that surrounds us, and that God made all of that. And if God takes his time to do all of those things, the colors, takes care of, you know, all the different trees, he takes care of all the birds in the air, of course he's going to take care of you. So you've got to remind yourself of all the beautiful things in life when something bad has happened to you. And then number 5, you need to learn how to laugh again. Don't let anybody or any circumstance take your joy. Your joy is priceless. Don't let somebody steal that. I used to let people steal my joy all the time, you guys. But my self-esteem was so low that their opinions meant that much to me. And it took me a long time to understand that, how do you let somebody steal what they didn't give you? Joy only comes from God. People can't give you joy. People can give you happiness, but they cannot give you joy. That joy comes from God and God alone. So you need to learn how to laugh again. You need to get around your friends, that silly friend that likes to cut up, that friend that, will do anything to make you smile, that friend that likes to go to funny movies, that friend that likes to go to comedy shows. Get yourself around people that love life, that know how to laugh. Somebody that can bring out the best in you. But you've got to learn how to laugh again, you guys. Life is too short to dwell on what's already happened. And I have finally got that, in my own life. I'm getting better at, accepting what happens and letting it go. I refuse to allow it to take up a week, a month, or a year of my time dwelling on something that happened that I can't change. Give me 3 or 4 days. I might have to cry about it for that long. But after that, I'm done. I'm moving on. Because I've got other things I need to do. I've got life, if God's will, that I need to be living. And you have to remind yourself every day is a gift. So don't let anybody steal your joy and take that away from you. Because while you're sitting around being sad, while you're sitting around feeling sorry for yourself, you are losing time. You are losing something that you don't own. God owns your time. So you need to take advantage of every minute, every second, and every hour that God allows you to have. So learn how to laugh again. And number 6, learn to speak out of your own mouth over your life. No matter what the circumstance is, no matter how bad the loss, no matter how bad you messed up, find yourself speaking about your own life and tell yourself your best days are in front of you. Convince yourself to be excited about tomorrow. Today is what it is. You can't undo it. But make up your mind to go to bed, get your rest, ask God to help you, and start fresh the next day. And make up your mind that your best days are ahead of you. You've got to believe that. Nobody can believe that for you. And that doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect tomorrow. But you got to wake up with a mindset of expecting that today is going to be better than yesterday. And 9 times out of 10, when you expect that and you mean it sincerely, your day is a little bit better the next day. But you've got to have some excitement about your own life. And then ask God to change your desires. Sometimes it's what we like that gets us in trouble. Ladies, is what we've made up our mind that we want, even though we know God told us to leave some things alone. Sometimes we bring our own misery into our lives. A lot of times God is trying to move us away from some things, away from some people, away from some behavior, that's not right, that we all have. And until you give that thing up, you're going to continue going through the same things over and over again. So we may need to ask God to help change our desires and ask God to help us to match up our desires with the will that He has for our lives. And then number 8, understand that your thoughts are not God's thoughts. We can't say, what God would want somebody to do, or we can't try to think like God. Just because you had a loss, that doesn't mean it was actually a loss. While you're focusing on it as being a bad thing, God may have used that particular thing to motivate you to be better, may motivate you to your next best place in your life. Sometimes you have to be snatched away from something in order for God to be able to give you something better. So don't think that we can think like God thinks. Every loss is not a loss. And every mistake is not truly a mistake. That's why we have to trust God and lean not to our own understanding. And with whatever's going on, you just have to ask God to allow His will to be done in your life. But His thoughts are not our thoughts, you guys. And then number 9, learn to release your frustrations. Release your frustrations in a healthy way so that you're not releasing them on people that don't deserve it, you guys. Because a lot of times when we're mad, we're like a Texas tornado. We knocking down everything that comes in our path, and that's not right. Release your frustrations in a proper way. Go for a walk, get some exercise, go somewhere where you can scream and get that off, cry your tears, but get that stuff out of you so that you don't build all that stuff up and end up hurting innocent people, along the way that had nothing to do with what's frustrating you. So you need to learn a positive way of releasing those frustrations so that you can reduce your stress level, and it'll keep you from acting out of your emotions. Okay? Because understand that staying frustrated will not solve the problem. You can stay mad all you want to. You can huff and puff all you want to. But guess what? That does not solve the issue. You need to get rid of that frustration so you can think clearly and get out of your emotions. And that way you can make good decisions. Okay? And number 10, always know that you have a choice on how you react. It's up to you how you react, if you react in a positive way or a negative way. And it doesn't matter what's happening to you. You always have a choice. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control your own behavior. Okay? And you can face the worst things in the world, but if you make a choice not to let yourself be affected by it, you won't be affected by it. If you decide that you're not going to let that break you, guess what? You're not going to be broken, but you have to decide that yes, that happened. Yes, that was bad, but that is not the end of my life. I will not let that break me. I will not let that keep me from going where I need to go. But you have to decide those things for yourself, because the Bible says you can do all things. That means whatever you got to go through, you can go through it. But you need Christ to go with you, okay? And you need to learn to get your emotions out and objectify it. If an incident happens, quit being so emotional about it. Recognize the incident for what it was and stop attaching your feelings to everything. Stop making it about you all the time, boo. Sometimes you need to call it what it is. If it's disrespect, call it disrespect. Don't get all personal with it. Call it disrespect. Or if somebody did something wrong, to you, call it what it is, but get your emotions out of it. Okay? Because when you go to call that person on that and talk to them about that, you don't need your emotions running high. Let them know what they did. Let them know that you did not appreciate it and that you are asking them not to do that again. But get your emotions out of it. Make yourself clear. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Make yourself understood. But take your emotions out of it. Call that incident what it is, but get your feelings out and quit attaching yourself to everything that happens to you and having your emotions all over the place. Deal with it for what it is. And then number 12, focus on what you can do something about in the situation. Stop sitting there dwelling on what happened. You need your action to create empowerment. When you decide to take a step to make things right, or a step to further your life, that action makes you stronger, because you could sit back and feel sorry for you. You could be sitting somewhere crying yourself to sleep. But when you decide, I'm going to take an action so that I don't have to go through this again, I'm going to take an action, to try to correct this situation, then that's empowering you, because you're not just sitting there taking it. You're doing something about it. And when you take action, it brings new possibilities. and it creates results. You'll get results when you step out there and say, you know what? I can't sit here and dwell on this. What do I need to do next? That's taking action. Okay? And when you take action about something that happened to you, that makes you no longer a victim. You're only a victim if you want to sit around and talk about it and you want to dwell in it. No, when you make up your mind, that happened, I'm moving forward, then you're no longer a victim. You have taken the action to move forward with your life. Okay? And work towards being the solution, like I said, and not the problem. And then ask for help if you need it. And then make sure you identify the lesson out of everything that happens to you. You know, nothing really happens, without a reason. I don't believe God allows things to happen to us without some kind of reason and without some kind of lesson to teach us. And a lot of times we have to get out of our feelings and get over some things before we can see the lesson. But make sure you don't dwell on the mistake. You get the lesson out of it so that you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again, okay? And then number 15, see the obstacle in your life as a journey. We all have things we have to go through on this journey we call life. And just understand some things we're going to have to go through along the way. And when you put that situation, whatever happened to you, in the context of part of your journey to get you to where you are today, then you can deal with it a little bit better instead of looking at it as something that happened to you that devastated you. Look at it as part of your journey, because whatever happened to you, and if you're better today, then that was part of your journey to get to the better person that you are today. Painful as it was, yes, I know it was painful. At the time you're thinking, okay, God, how in the world is this going to help me later? But most of us that have gone through painful things, later on, if we become a better person, then we can look back and say, you know what? I hated going through that. I would not have chosen to go through that type of pain, but because I went through that, it made me different. It made me better. It made me treat people better. I tell people that, when I went through domestic violence, you would think that I would want to sit around and make myself a victim, but I don't. At the time I was devastated when it happened, and then I got married again, and that booger wanted to put his hands on me too. And I'm just like, you know what, Lord? I just didn't understand it. And then God had to teach me a lesson about the fact that I didn't love myself enough. And that's why I was attracting those type of people. And when God began to speak to me and began to show me some things, all the things that I tolerated, all the things that I kept my mouth closed about, all the times that I compromised, all the times that I showed so much weakness in the relationship, it helped me to be stronger. It helped me to be a better person. It helped me to be able to see, you didn't deserve that. You're better than that. God didn't intend for you to be somebody that gets hurt like that, to be somebody's punching bag. That is not your story. But it helped me to be stronger. It helped me to be more compassionate towards other people that go through those situations. Because before, I didn't understand how women stayed in relationships like that. Somehow I get some of that now. Now that I understand the cycle of abuse, I get how they end up in those relationships for years and years and years until they're strong enough to get out. Because it's hard. It's hard coming out of a relationship like that, especially when you love the person that's hurting you. So just understand that was part of my journey, and it helped me to be better simply because now I understand that self-love is so important, and the vibe that you give off is so important, and what you tolerate is important, because whatever you tolerate, you will have to deal with. So all of that was part of my journey. I didn't like it, but it helped me to be a better person. And that's how I look at those things now. I don't feel sorry for myself, and I don't want people to feel sorry for me, because I had to grow, through that. And because of that, I'm the person that I am today. So look at those things that have happened in your life, those painful things, and just understand somehow God is going to get the glory out of it. And when I say he's going to get the glory out of it, he's going to get the glory out of you, out of the person that you become because of it. That's why it's so important to get your lessons out of what happens to you, because it gives you a little bit of clarity. You can see where you messed up. You can see where you fell off course and God was trying to get you back in line. So understand, everything happens for a reason. We don't always like it, but consider it part of your journey to better. And that's the way I see things in my life. Whatever happens, it's on my journey to be a better person down the line. And God is going to get the glory out of that, because he says we are an overcomer. And we are an overcomer. All the things that I thought I couldn't handle, he allowed me to overcome it. And that helps me along my journey, because if he got me through that, guess what? He's going to get me through this and the next thing and the next thing. Okay? And obstacles are there just to test your spiritual muscles. Obstacles are there to help you decide, am I going to depend on me or am I going to depend on God? And it'll help strengthen you spiritually, okay, and increase your faith. And Isaiah 61 says, for a spirit of heaviness, put on a garment of praise. You know, a lot of times we're going through stuff and we've been through it and we're feeling down about it and we're hurt about it. Learn how to begin to praise God. Something about praising God will lift your spirit even in the worst of times. I've done it while I was in the middle of a battle. And when I tell you, he lifts your spirit and he begins to fight for you. Learn to praise God no matter where you are in the situation. If you're still hurting behind the situation, start praising God. I promise you it will lift your spirit. God will begin to let you feel in your spirit that he's on your side, that he's fighting for you. And that's how you fight. You can't always fight people with your words. You can't fight people with your actions, but you begin to praise God. God will inhabit those praises. He will come into the room when you praise and you worship God, and he will begin to fight for you. So understand that is what you can do when it's happened. Now what? Now I'm going to praise God. Now I'm going to go and go to church even when, you know, I'm still hurting, when I don't feel like it, when I don't even feel like talking to anybody or being around anybody. You know, even if you don't feel like going to the house of worship, make your home a house of worship. You praise God where you're at. God will come. He will meet you where you are. But don't try to fight things on your own. Allow God to be there, because he inhabits the praises of his people and he will fight for you. You don't have to go through everything by yourself. So understand, things are going to happen, but it's up to you to say, okay, now what? What do I do now? What you do now is you get up, you dust yourself off, you make up your mind. Either I'm going to react to this in a negative way or I'm going to react to this in a positive way. The choice is up to you, but you've got to decide which direction you want to go. And my final thought, you guys, is no matter what bad stuff happens in your life or throws, you off of your game, as long as you can cope in a constructive manner, nothing can get you down and nothing can hold you down. It's one thing, you guys, to be hurt by a situation and to feel bad for a little bit, but don't let that thing hold you down. That's the point I'm trying to get to you. Things are going to happen to us in life, and yeah, you're going to get down sometimes, but do not let that thing get a grip on you. Do not let it wrap around you and become your whole life. It is what it is. It cannot be undone. So guess what? Cry your tears about it. Have your moments of frustration about it, but make up your mind not to give over your life to something that happens to you. Things are going to happen as long as we're on this earth, you guys. So make sure that when you get down, you don't let it hold you down, and don't stay down there long. Call on your friends, reach out to whoever you need to reach out to. Excuse me, y'all. I'm thirsty. Reach out to whoever you need to reach out to, to get some strength. That's what your friends are for, to be strength for you. So don't stay down and don't let that thing get a grip on you. Okay? So speak back to yourself and remind yourself when something bad happens, ask yourself, now what am I going to do? Don't give up. Don't give in. It's up to you to make something happen. And you can do it. You've got enough in you. God has given you everything you need to make it. So understand that things are going to happen, but you don't have to go through it by yourself, and never, ever give up. Thank you guys for watching. I pray you guys have a good rest of your day, a good evening, and a great weekend. Everybody stay safe. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Lindsay. Okay, I want to make sure I got everybody. You guys take care. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Take care, and God bless.